that ended up with him losing everything he had. So not great, unfortunately, but we know that Lucky is capable of far more than that, and that's what I expect to see from him in this game. But first, I bring you TSL's Polt, who is in the blue trunks, playing Terran to the east of Coral Compound, versus his opponent. It is Team FXO's Lucky. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Zerg to the west.
And this is the map that TLO did take the win against TSL Polt on just yesterday. And the reason how TLO got that was because Polt was sloppy with his Hellions, and then had no information of what was going on in the game. He lost their Hellions, he lost map control, and there from TLO took full advantage of that, and then completed his all-in. So basically the conclusion of that is, Polt, if he keeps up with his control like game one and keeps those Hellions alive, everything is easily spotted. Even Roachling all-ins get to be known about instantly, because you see the Roaches on creep as they pop out, and you have enough time to build bunkers ready to deal with it.
That you do. Well, I have to see if Lucky does go for an all-in. He is known for being, I don't like the word, honestly, but it is kind of descriptive, an abusive player, in that he will happily use strategies that are obviously very, very good on a particular map. Some players just play straight up on all maps. They don't play the map. Lucky definitely does. So I expect to see certainly some variety from him here. And as you probably said before, a two-base play like he just did, probably not.
And even if we didn't see Polt go for Medivacs early on, even a tank push on this map is very good against this kind of style too, because you can prevent your opponent taking the third base easier here, as tanks will be the focus point. If they get sieged up upon the higher ground next to the third base, it becomes almost impossible for Zerg players to have sufficient and efficient attacks, because you just have to invest so much more money then the Terran player actually throws into it and you throw yourself behind. But so far we do see a very similar build from both of these guys, and we are once again going to be seeing that Reactor Hellion play going for that traditional style, that new... I can't believe that nobody ever used to do that, and it took a long time for them actually to come in.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it, when you think about the state of the metagame right now. You think about what used to happen, and I suppose it's because the selection of maps that we had back then was also very, very different, and as a result we had a completely different style. I remember when Reactor Hellion was actually, I think it was an MLG actually, I'm pretty sure it was Slayers that really made that seem a little bit interesting, and then it became the metagame for the longest time, and is still just without the inclusion of Blue Flame. A lot of Lings have been forced out by this because that SCV has remained alive for much longer and will actually complete the bunker.
And this is going to be such a cost-efficient trade here for Polt, and not a good start for map number 2 here. Even if he cleans it up, he's built 8 Lings. He's going to have to use Queens as well, and he's going to, you know, he could lose drones. He's losing mining time. He doesn't want to get surrounded though. That's actually not too bad for Lucky.
Yeah, that was quite nice, but he didn't stop it. Polt managed to get in there anyway, and the SCV goes in there as well. And as I said, it is incredibly efficient and with good micro, but it's a shame about the SCV went down, but with good micro, maybe could have got a few more Lings there. And yeah, the Marines will die, but the trade is good. And in fact, actually, funnily enough, it wasn't in terms of resources, but that's not the point. It's not about the resources, it's about the drones that weren't built as a result of all of these Lings coming out. And
a loss of mining time just a little bit there, but it's good, especially because you're backing that up now with Hellions as well. And he's going to be able to just capitalize on the Lings that were made in it. Just useless now. And he's going to have to save them until speed is done. Lucky has mined additional gas, but he's only in gas with 1, so it doesn't look like he's going to be aggressive with any form of all-in. Just going to tick away with 1 in gas and then just go back in when he feels right to go up to layer. But it looks like he will be going for a layer build again. He could surprise us with an early expansion, but Hellions are already here and already going to help prevent that from happening. Yeah,
that's going to get really quite awkward. The third base for the Zerg player here, this is something we described in this map before, because this is a map that people are starting to get familiar with because it's a ladder map. It's not really used in tournaments all that much as of yet, and it's that the third base has high ground above it, which means that tank play on this map is just mega viable, and you can deploy there and rain down terror on it, and anything coming out of that base is going to get crushed. Polt is trying to prevent creep spread, and look, he's got a little bit more than before, but it's still not quite near enough.
And I'm just looking to see if that Marauder kind of, because there was a Marauder shown there to Lucky, if it affected his game at all, and I really don't think it did. Even though we have a second Spine Crawler, he had a second Spine Crawler in the previous game also, and he's just playing very similar, so it didn't affect his game at all, and we are going to have Polt now expand to the lower ground, And he does have his tank production a lot earlier here instead of going for those medivacs. So he will be looking to push out eventually and hit a timing if, again, Lucky goes 2-base layer. But we'll see that he's taking all the gases, so it looks like he is going to be going for that 2-base layer. But he's going to be able to hit a push with 2, 3 tanks. Probably, no, actually 3 to 4, sorry. So 3 to 4 tanks, a decent amount of Marines. And actually looking now in the production tab, the double evolution chambers coming down, so it doesn't look like we are going to be seeing that 2-base immediately into layer, and he will focus more on the Infestor style of play rather than that Mutalisk. So a bit of variety here from Lucky.
It's good to see that, and that's really what we'd expect from Lucky. He's got all sorts of tricks up his sleeve. He doesn't play the same every time, even if it is so-called abusive builds, which are also known as good builds on particular maps. And Polt is deploying a few tanks here and there, and we'll look to try and get this timing sorted out. Lucky has no opportunity really to take another base. He's deploying quite a few creep tumors, which is good. It's always nice to have redundant creep tumors to make sure that your creep doesn't recede quite as quickly. Yeah. But he can't spread it here. Polt will just stop him, and it's a nasty area to spread creep as well. It's a fairly narrow choke.
And this is a pretty good start for Lucky in this game, because he's chosen a style that's pretty good against what Polt's going for and doing. If you take your minds back, if you did watch the TLO game, we didn't see any tanks out. And this is basically the same style TLO had, just without the Baneling Nest. But pure Lings, with upgrades as well, are going to be able to crush any form of tank push whatsoever.
Yep.
And we are going to actually see the starport come down. This is just 2 tanks so far, but anything that Polt tries to do from 2 base pushes, it's going to get crushed here. And it looks like soon we're going to see this big little flank here onto the Hellions. Good catch.
Very nice move. Yeah, great play there by Lucky. Polt just being caught a little bit off guard. Those Hellions have been idle for a very long time. He wasn't quite quick enough. And even then, a creep tumor was actually snuck past, and he is sorting out this 3rd base quite rapidly, if he so chooses to go for it. Infestor style is indeed what we're going to be seeing. Ling with the potential for Baneling, and Infestor, absolutely fantastic play style. And Polt now walling off, knowing that, you know what, there's quite a lot of Lings on the field, and might get at least a bit of a sniff of what his opponent's trying to do.
And Polt still doesn't know if this is 2-base Spire with just Lings been made, because the upgrades for the Lings were never revealed there. And all the Lings are in the center now. It still could be 2-base Spire, so I'm interested to see if Polt throws down a scan soon. He's not really changing his play up whatsoever, and there is a scan in the main base, and I was about to say that as well, is that does he scan the natural or the main? He scanned the main looking for the tech, but it's all on the natural, so once again, he's still clueless to whether this is Infestors, whether this is Spire, so that's pretty good for Lucky.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say it. I refuse. I'm sorry. It's too easy. I'm not going to go for it. It was fortunate for Lucky. And more Lings coming in to a total of 89 already. That's a really crazy amount of Zerglings, but it is the style that TLO has been using, and it is effective. It's not just TLO style, I might add. Stefano actually still does this.
This push is going undetected. I can't believe there's nothing, not even a single Ling on that right-hand side.
Oh,
and a single Ling goes now and is like, oh, there's the push. Oh crap.
I'm completely out of position.
Oh, man, he's going to get tanks in good position. Now, Lucky has to be like, do I go and attack in a bad position? Do I go and counterattack? And he sees there's no 3rd base, of course, so he has to go. But now Pulse just gained an amazing position here. And even though this game was looking really good for Lucky, tables just turned.
Lucky has some real issues with consistent scouting, which is something that other Zerg players do not have. And dealing with this kind of stuff, you just need to keep looking over and over again, and down goes the hatchery.
Yeah, it gets cancelled, and once again, Lucky's on 2-base. This time around, he does have Infestors, so they will help out, but as long as we do have a nice spread army, it should be fine. But actually, it may actually be enough here from Lucky to go in and take a good fight.
It's a lot of units. I guess we're about to find out. Yeah, there's actually probably not enough tanks to deal with that many Lings, especially with the upgrades kicking in there. They've got the armor. That is helping them out quite a bit. Infestors coming in from the back as well. And a nice fungal growth and completely overrun there by Lucky, which, you know, the style is good. He did a lot of damage, then he forced that Polt push to pull back. Still, he's lost slightly more resources-wise, but there's nowhere near the gap that we saw in the first game.
And that was a hard decision to make from Lucky, was do I go and risk my Infestors and pick off everything? Because he could have. Or does he not and just come back and retreat? And he chose to retreat and allowed Polt to escape with well, not everything, but a portion of that army. But we do see an incredibly fast hive here. Lucky taking a gamble, and at this stage, he doesn't have the economy to support it. Therefore, he doesn't have a big army size, and if he does have a decent sized army, he can't replenish it by no means. So is Polt going to scan the main and maybe look for this? Or is he just going to expect Lucky to just try and catch up in terms of economy? But one thing is for sure is the creep spread is looking pretty good for Lucky.
Yeah, much better this time around, which in itself means that you don't need to actively scout as a result of just having creep all over the map. Lucky wasn't able to do either of those things. This time he's missing out a little bit on his active scouting, not as much as in the first game. That's good. I like to see the fact that Lucky's tightening up his play against Polt here, and he has got this base up to the top, which we haven't mentioned yet. That is completely hidden.
Oh, and these Lings are at 2-2, by the way, but a good position for Polt on the higher ground if he sieges up, so Lucky's going to have to run away. Oh, one Vesta does go down, and
meaty.
It looks like Lucky's going to go for a counterattack to prevent this third base, and it's going to drive Polt. Well, I was going to say it should drive him back, but Polt's going to go forward, and the hive is now completed also.
I have to wonder. This defense isn't exactly amazing. It doesn't really have the units for it. I think that Polt is kind of playing chicken with Lucky here, saying, right, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to attack again, and you are going to have to come back. And you know what? It's working. Everything is coming back to try and deal with this, and it lets the tanks get into a great position. There's still a lot of links, so this will probably get overrun eventually.
Yeah, but the thing is that Polt has to focus on getting that third base up, and Lucky's going to prevent it again. SCVs are coming down, but there's a borrowed Ling underneath the command center once again. And he hasn't got anything. Well, he's now bringing units down and will scan to get rid of it, but Lucky's going to go to kill everything down in the bottom right. Polt is spread nicely again, and it's not really going to be that efficient of a trade.
No, not necessarily. He does have a lot of Lings, and he is at least on 3 bases, and I'm pretty sure Polt doesn't know about this. Yeah, he still has no idea. And we've got the Ultralisk Cavern coming down, which is an interesting decision. And with these kind of melee and armor upgrades, it can be effective. Might allow him to overrun the forces of his opponent. Going straight for the mineral line and gutting it completely before the planetary fortress goes up.
Yeah, he is. A really nice kill and a lot of SCVs here. Lucky really changing the pace, the gear of his game. But Polt manages to establish this planetary fortress, but in Polt's vision, he immediately scans the left-hand side. He's like, oh, that's where your third base is. All right, but the problem is he hasn't scanned the main. He doesn't know about the Ultralisk switch whatsoever. And in the unit tab, he does have a few Marauders to help with the Marines and with the Baneling, sorry, but he has no idea about this Ultralisk.
Well, he doesn't also have an idea over the number of borrowed infestors that are directly underneath him. 7 of them with full energy. This could be massive fungals, especially with this engagement. Oh, perfectly landed fungals right there, and a huge swarm immediately burrows. That was excellent.
And that, indeed, TotalBiscuit has brought Lucky back into the game. He's going to kill every single Medivac here as well.
Beautiful play.
And this is really, really good for Lucky in this game now. And he has Ultras out. The Ultras are almost fully upgraded, and there's only Marines in production. He doesn't know about it. I'm still looking in his vision. Still doesn't know about the hive. He can start to put 2 and 2 together, knowing now that a third base is established, a 4th one is coming. But it's looking very, very good for Lucky.
This is much better than we saw on the first map, where he didn't really look like Lucky. It wasn't the same kind of play that I would expect to see from him. He has got this far in the tournament, and he is exceptional without question. Polt's going to try and push towards this third, wants to siege up and try and deal with it. The one that he's picked, actually, this base is on a high ground, and there's already an infestor there to do significant damage. It's the kind of damage that Polt simply cannot take with that massive army awaiting. I love the use of borrowed infestors here as well, and one of these days, man, you say it, one of these days, Terran are going to bring Ravens to deal with this, but that day will not be today, and here comes the Ultralisk dance party, and Polt has got nothing to deal with that.
Yeah, and Lucky's going to clean up, he's going to save his base, and it will continue to mine. He takes the 4th base.